Hey good people, and welcome back to the channel. It's a wonderful Monday, and in a few moments, I'll be starting an open discussion on the topic of movies and TV shows that are centered around the concept of slavery. That's right folks, I'm starting this week off with a bang. And I know this subject can be a little divisive at times, but my goal for this video is simply to kickstart the conversation and examine the topic from an unbiased point of view before seeing what you all think about the topic. And here on this channel, all opinions are welcome. So please, sit back, buckle up, and prepare to reply to this open discussion. So the million-dollar question that I have for you today is this. Do we really need more slavery movies and TV shows and other projects? Let me repeat. Do we really need more of these things? I think the answer to this question ultimately depends on who you ask. Now, when it comes to the quote-unquote slavery movies and TV shows, I can completely understand the argument against Hollywood continuing to make them. Some of these movies and shows can be extremely depressing to watch, oftentimes being labeled as trauma porn for the acts of brutality that viewers are subjected to watch. And as a result, it can be very triggering to some people. Others who may be against the slavery movies and shows may feel this way because the entertainment market may be oversaturated with these projects, and it may be nice to see black actors doing something more productive and uplifting than getting whipped or running away from a slave catcher. And some people may simply not want to watch these movies because it's just not their cup of tea. And in my opinion, all the reasons that I just mentioned are extremely fair and valid when it comes to people who are against the slavery movies and shows. Speaking from my own experiences, I can say that I have seen quite a number of slavery movies and shows over the past 25 years. And my number one pet peeve for them is when the studios make a movie that's based on real life people, but the studio uses so much creative liberty that there's little to no historical accuracy in the movie. Two movies that I recently saw that fit this criteria would be Will Smith's Emancipation and Viola Davis's The Woman King. In Emancipation, the movie was essentially The Fugitive and The Revenant if they were filmed during slavery, and my issue was that the studio centered the bulk of the story around fantasy instead of what really happened in the life of the man they called Whipped Peter. And if you ever had the chance to read up on the story of the real life person, then you would understand that the real story was 10 times more interesting than what we saw in the movie. And don't get me started on The Woman King. This movie essentially rewrote history by essentially lying about the African tribe's opposition to the slave trade. But the movie was entertaining to the masses nonetheless. And for honorable mention, I would have to nominate the Harriet Tubman biopic. It was a movie that started off with much promise, but in my opinion, just like with Emancipation, the movie was so caught up with made-up characters and the escape to freedom that it bypasses all of Harriet Tubman's accomplishments, which could have made a better movie. So all in all, I can understand why a number of people are against slavery movies and TV shows. But for every argument that I just made against creating more slavery movies and shows, I have an argument that justifies why Hollywood should continue making them. For starters, while slavery-based projects can be considered to be traumatic, one could argue that projects which show soldiers fighting in war, innocent people getting murdered, and people getting violated can also be deemed traumatic to certain groups of people. But I don't think that Hollywood will be in any hurry to stop making those kind of movies. Secondly, while it feels like this genre is oversaturated in Hollywood, it is a well-known fact that Hollywood is oversaturated with 5 other types of movies, which usually are the remakes, the cheesy thrillers, race movies, blockbusters, and comic book movies. And lastly, while there are some people who simply don't wish to watch these movies or shows, there is still a large market of people out there who do. So as long as the demand exists, then Hollywood will continue to supply. And I think that in addressing my pet peeves regarding these movies and TV shows, Hollywood could definitely change its ways in order to transform the traditional story of slavery into a narrative that is creative, well acted, as well as more historically accurate. Take the movies 12 Years a Slave and Django for example. Both movies in my opinion rank in the top 5% for best projects that depict slavery, and that's simply because the people who helped bring the projects to life treated the concept of telling a well-cohesive story just as important, if not more important, than showing the brutality associated with slavery. And going forward, I, as well as other people, would definitely like to see more creative, realistic, and historically accurate stories about slavery being told on TV and film. So in closing, I just want to reiterate that I can see both sides of the coin on this, but I would definitely like to know what you all think about the topic. Do you think that we need more projects that tell the story of slavery, or are you just tired of seeing and hearing about that? Feel free to leave all your comments below in the comment section, and don't be afraid to share why. Like I mentioned earlier, all opinions are welcome here because that's what makes it an open discussion. But I'll be sure to reply to everybody. Until next time, stay tuned and stay safe. Peace.